Hey team, happy Wednesday. And you can see by the west face that I have from my living room, the sun is still up, technically, setting now, and it's 5:30. The days are getting longer. We're so close. So on this lovely day, my friend is inviting me, literally, she lives upstairs. I'm gonna go to her place for dinner tonight around 7. And so I figured, okay, I've got a little bit of time. Let me whip up a quick batch of chocolate chip cookies to bring upstairs. Well, turns out in order to make chocolate chip cookies, you need chocolate chips. And to be honest, I can't be arsed to go to the store. So then I thought, okay, I can make another kind of cookie. And I was like, oh, what if I just make chocolate cookies? Okay, that sounds like a good idea. But a lot of the recipes that I saw online still actually had chocolate chips just as the recipe, but the dough itself was a chocolate dough. So, okay, that's not gonna work. But then I realized I still have a whole bunch of mini marshmallows from a recipe that I had used before. So I was like, maybe I'll just make chocolate cookies, but mix some marshmallows into it. Here I was thinking I was being unique because when I sort of Googled a couple of recipes to get some accurate baking times, there are literally hundreds of recipes out there for chocolate cookies with marshmallows. And so in my natural fashion, I'm going to Frankenstein kind of a few of those, mixing and matching some of the ingredients, and hopefully they turn out. And baking music today, I picked up this bad boy probably about a month ago, and it's like full double LP, and it's amazing. So we're gonna rock out to that today. So of course, we're gonna start measuring out our dry ingredients. So we're gonna do only about 1.5 cups of flour, and we're going to add about 1/2 cup of cocoa powder. So this recipe, unlike some other maybe chocolate chip cookie recipes, doesn't have that much flour. You want these to be really nice and kind of ooey gooey, especially with the marshmallow in it. So it's gonna have a little bit more of a brownie texture versus like a crunchy cookie texture, which I don't know, I kind of like better. So to this, I have also added about just shy of a teaspoon of baking soda and about 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder and just a pinch of salt. I tend to use salted butter, but it's always good to just add a little bit. If you don't have salted butter and you're using unsalted butter in a recipe, then maybe add a little bit more than a pinch because the salt just brings out the flavor. Why do you need to use both baking soda and baking powder? Well, I just looked it up, and apparently there is actually baking soda in baking powder. Thank you for preheating. But there isn't quite enough to react with the acids that are actually going into the dough. So just baking powder isn't going to be enough to leaven the cookies. So you need the additional baking soda in order to leaven the cookies the way that you want them to. Who knew? And yes, I know most trained bakers out there did know, but I didn't, so I Googled. So now onto the wet ingredients. We are going to be using both brown sugar and white sugar. So we're going to use about 3/4 cup of brown sugar and about 1/4 cup of white sugar. I find that the brown sugar, especially when you're using like really chocolatey, like good recipes, it just gives you that extra little bit of like caramelly deliciousness that you want in that kind of a cookie, especially when you want that little bit of extra chew. Okay, so we've got our dough started. So right now we've got our sugar mixed together with 1/2 cup of melted butter. Make sure that that's kind of nice incorporated before you go adding in the eggs and vanilla, which is what we're gonna do now. And so we're gonna be adding in 2 teaspoons of vanilla and 1 egg. Make sure everything is nice and incorporated together. before we go ahead and mix in our dry with our wet. So we have our lovely dough kind of put together like that. So now it's time to kind of assemble the cookies, I guess. So we're gonna take about a 1 to 2 teaspoon. I always tend to make mine a little bit bigger than they need to be. And give them a nice roll. And to your cookie, you can kind of make a bit of a little well. And you can take a few marshmallows kind of right on the inside. And if you made it a little bit too small like I did, just grab some more dough and like cover it up, you know what I mean? And make sure that they're all nice and incorporated. And we are going to roll out a bunch more of those, and we're gonna bake these in the oven for about 8 to 10 minutes at 350. And also make sure you have enough marshmallows so I actually go into the cookies. So these just came out. Some of them, you know, marshmallows kind of busting out, and some of them just full on kind of exploded. But I don't know, they look okay. Oh, I did add a little bit of graham cracker crust dusting to make it more like a s'mores cookie. But I'm gonna let these cool and I don't know, bring them upstairs. Let's see how they taste. Have a good night, guys.